Very few things can claim to have been around in the gaming industry for as long as the Ultima series. They date from times immemorial, roughly around 1981 if you don't count the Calibeth, which is sort of like Ultima Zero. Even the fanbase of Ultima is one of the oldest organized groups there is in terms of video games. They're called the Ultima Dragons and will celebrate 25 years of existence next year in February at Disneyland, where you can actually throw a pie at Lord British, Richard Garrett, the creator of the Ultima series, if you pledge to the Kickstarter for the anniversary celebration. They're very nice people. Like I said, it's one of the oldest communities that exists. And why does it exist? What made Ultima so special that it still has a following? Why does this game series endure even though there's not been a game released since, well, Ultima 9, and Ultima 9 had issues. Well, I could say that there's the MMO, but the MMO isn't doing that hot, so no, it's not the MMO. So why Ultima? Why Ultima and not Wizardry? Why Ultima and not Temple of Upshai? Why Ultima and not something like Pong or Pac-Man? Well, it's mostly because Ultima was about something. It was about something deep. Something that games rarely touch on because doing so will actually require them to be made for that purpose. It's more than having a message, it's more than having something to say about society, it's more than a simple series of games dealing with you having to fight the ultimate evil, or about machines rising up against people, or people with enhancements that clash against people without them. And come to think of it, there aren't really that many general themes and overarching plot lines that relate to something other than the ones I've just said in current video games. And when I say current, I mean video games made since Ultima and even before it. So what were they about? Philosophy. And saying that is a bit sketchy because philosophy covers a whole lot of things. Yes, there's been very good games that tackle the idea of philosophy, that tackle certain aspects of it, like Planescape, but Planescape is currently one game. I'm referring to a series of games that tackle a subject that is deep, that is meaningful. And yeah, you could argue that Tides of Numenera will be a sequel to Torment, and well, it is a sequel to Torment, it's a sequel in half a name, and in the intention of giving us something to think about. So we have two series of games. Well, we will have two series of games next year, but not more. Not more because video games aren't being used most of the time at their fullest potential. Yeah, we use them to have fun, we play, we laugh, we press the matchmaking button in Counter-Strike and then regret it for the rest of the evening. Games are great at entertainment, but they can do more. And when they don't do more, it sort of makes you feel like they're just part of the noise, the background noise of society that just doesn't live up to the potential it could have. A potential that was gleamed upon in Ultima, namely in 3 games: Ultima 4, Ultima 5, and Ultima 6. This trilogy of games has been called the Age of Enlightenment because it covers the rise and revelation, I would say, of a new age in the fictional world of Caesarea or Britannia of Ultima. These revelations continue into the Age of Armageddon, but that's a different matter. The Age of Enlightenment started in the year 1985. It started with a question: who are you? In most of the Ultima games, you were yourself. You were not the last and greatest warrior of some clan that was destroyed by an evil king and now you have to get revenge. You are not the noble prince that must seek out justice. You are not anyone in the fictional world. You are you. You, the person standing in front of the screen. You are taken to a world of enchantment, of fantasy, of fiction, but it is still you. And the game begins with the question, who are you? A question that not even you may know the answer to. So it poses to you several dilemmas of what you could do in several situations. And depending on your answers, the game would assign to you a class. That class was determined by exactly how much weight you would put upon certain virtues. If you valued humility above all else, you would be a shepherd, a simple shepherd. Granted, over the course of the game you could become a badass shepherd, but you were still a shepherd, a humble shepherd. If you valued honor above all else, you were a paladin, and depending on your choices, you would be another type of class, but again, you would still be yourself. It's just that the answers you gave revealed exactly who you are, maybe even to you. Ultima 4 did something that most RPGs today can't even seem to do, or most games today. It broke away from the standard duality of good and evil. In this game, you weren't Jesus or Satan, you weren't a saint or a scoundrel, you weren't a Boy Scout or an asshole, you were a person, and the person has layers, like an ogre. Now again, this was 1985. The idea that it was cliche to be a hero that sets out to vanquish the evil forces of some sorcerer wasn't really actually a thing yet in video games, because as you know, that's what a lot of games are about today anyway. Only instead of sorcerers, there's corporate tyrants or evil dictators, or it's the same thing, it's the same story. Ultima wasn't about that. In Ultima 4, you did not fight against something tangible. You fought for something. You fought to become the embodiment of all that is noble, of all that is good in humanity. And you would do this in a lot of ways. You would do this in ways that subvert the standard ideas of a role-playing game, of a video game in general. For example, if you wanted to increase your status in the virtue of justice, you had to go against everything you know from video games. If you fought an enemy and it ran away, in a video game you would give chase, kill him, and loot the corpse. In this one, no. In this one, if you attacked someone that wasn't hostile, that wasn't justice. Even if it was some random creature in a forest, it wasn't out to kill you, it was just there. Even if you get attacked by an orc, if the orc just runs away, if the orc surrenders and flees for his life, how is it justice to kill him? You won, you defeated him, and by letting him escape, you are denied experience and loot. And also because you have the virtue of valor, which encourages you to fight, to stand your ground in combat, it becomes sort of a delicate balancing act between the two. And because you must be compassionate and honest, you can't just go around robbing every blind merchant you come across. You have to fight the urge that's still present in every video game to just ransack everyone's house and not have any repercussions brought upon you. Even though no one sees you, even though no one knows, you still know. You still know what you did. And when you master all these virtues, when you find all the mantras, when you cleanse all the shrines, when you do everything that's needed, when you throw the skull of Mundane into the abyss, and when you get the codex of ultimate wisdom from there and reveal it to the world, then you truly become the avatar, the embodiment of all those virtues, the embodiment of all that is good. And through your symbolism, the world becomes a better place, because they will see that that person that started out with nothing became the greatest hero in the land by being humble, spiritual, self-sacrificing, compassionate, honest, brave, and honorable. It's a sign that everyone can strive to be better and be rewarded for it, not just on a personal level, but by making everything around them better for everyone else. Now you could say that the game had a moralizing tone, whereas the ones that came before it would just let you rob and steal and do anything you wanted, but it didn't do so in a patronizing way. It didn't do so in a way that made you feel like this was some after-school PSA about not copying that floppy or downloading a car. It did it in a way that actually got you thinking about how you play games, and how does that reflect on who you are, and how can you improve yourself in order to make the world a better place. You'll constantly hear people say that video games cause violence. Well, Ultima 4 caused world peace then. Sure, it didn't cause world peace, but that message did resonate with people. It did get people thinking. And this was in the days before there were things like the internet, at the scale we have now at least, or the form we have now. This was before a game like this could become a cultural phenomenon that could just take over everything. Like, imagine if Pokemon Go had the basic idea of Ultima in it, instead of people running over other people's property and breaking stuff and getting hit by cars. Imagine that. That could have been a world-changing event, instead of a fad that's now dead. And the brilliance of Ultima was that it didn't stop there. The brilliance of Ultima was that it continued the idea. It continued after the happily ever after, and it made you see exactly what the consequences of establishing a religion can actually have, which is something I'll talk about more in detail next week. After all, if I just crammed everything together, odds are some things would be lost, some things would be forgotten. But when you split every idea in its own separate thing, in its own separate entity that people can fully enjoy and be satisfied with, then the effect would be a lot stronger. That's how the Ultima games did it. Sure, it didn't hurt that Ultima 4 was an amazing game, superb game, fantastic game, one which you can find on GOG right now for free. It's kind of funny, isn't it, that the game about making the world a better place is free. It sort of reminds me of something that the creators of MUD said. You know, MUD, the multi-user dungeon, one of the first persistent online worlds where people came to play together, to roleplay, to live, to learn. What they said was, if we had charged for MUD, we wouldn't be the kind of people that would have made MUD. Now, naturally, Ultima 4 was a game that Origin charged for back in the day because, you know, they needed money to make the game, but now you can play it for free, and you should. Get a graphics pack if you don't like the original graphics. I do believe there are some re-implementations of the engine that make it more appealing. Just try it. Try and see exactly how much moral and philosophical complexity could have been crammed in a game where you couldn't even fit dialogue on the screen because there just wasn't enough space, and it was made for hardware that just couldn't handle something as complex as the written word. Our journey will continue next week with the Warriors of Destiny. Thank you for watching this show. If you enjoyed it, please consider watching some of our other videos and maybe sharing them or giving a thumbs up if you feel like it. And if you really liked what you saw, please check out our Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you could help us make much better shows and get some rewards in the process. Or you could consider buying my book called Tale of Doom. Volume 1 is out now and available for just $2. And as always, if you thought it was horrible, you know where to find me and complain about it.